The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was the largest room ever built by any species. Its walls stretched so high that clouds sometimes formed near the ceiling. Thousands of alien delegates sat in floating platforms arranged in circles, all facing the center stage where speakers would stand. Today, the center stage held a single human woman. Ambassador Una stood perfectly still. She wore the dark blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic service. Her black hair was pulled back tightly and her face showed no emotion at all. Around her, the alien delegates whispered and clicked and hummed in their many languages. They did not take her seriously. They never had. High Arbiter Velos floated in the highest platform of all. He was a massive creature with 6 arms and skin like wet stone. He had led the Galactic Council for 300 years. In all that time, he had never once voted in favor of a human request. "You may speak," Velos said. His voice boomed through the hall like thunder. Una bowed her head slightly. 3 weeks ago, Korath Raiders attacked 3 human colony worlds. They killed 40,000 of our people. Men, women, and children. They burned our cities and stole our resources. Ow. She paused. The hall was quiet now. We sent emergency signals to this council. We begged for help. We reminded you of the treaties we signed when we joined the Galactic Union 150 years ago. Treaties that promised mutual defense. Treaties that said an attack on one member was an attack on all. Una looked up at Velos. No help came. Velos waved one of his many arms. The Korath Raiders are a minor threat. Your colonies were in disputed territory. You expanded too quickly, too aggressively. What happened was unfortunate, but it was the expected result of your reckless behavior. A few delegates laughed. The sound echoed through the great hall. Una did not react. She simply reached into her pocket and pulled out a small device. She pressed a button, and suddenly the air above her filled with images. Ships burning, cities in flames, bodies lying in streets. God, 40,000 dead? She said quietly. And you call it unfortunate? The council has many responsibilities, Velos replied. We cannot respond to every small crisis. Perhaps if humans were more careful about where they built their homes, these things would not happen. More laughter, more whispers. Una turned off the images. She stood in silence for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was different, colder, harder. 150 years ago, humanity joined this union. We were young. We were eager. We believed that the older species would guide us and protect us. We believed we would be treated as equals. She began to walk slowly around the center stage. Instead, you used us. When the Vorn War began, you sent human soldiers to the front lines. 60% of all casualties were human. When we developed new technologies, you took them. Our faster engines now power your ships. Our medical advances now heal your people. But the patents belonged to elder species who claimed they invented them. The whispers stopped. The hall grew very quiet. Our worlds are taxed at 3 times the rate of any other species. Our representatives are given the smallest voice in every debate. When we ask for justice, we are told to wait. When we demand equality, we are told we are too young. When we bleed for this union, we are told it is our duty. Una stopped walking. She faced Velos directly. No more. Velos leaned forward. What did you say? Una reached up and removed the diplomatic badge from her uniform. It was a small silver circle with the symbol of the Galactic Union. She had worn it for 20 years. She held it in her palm for a moment, looking at it. Then she bent down and placed it gently on the floor. The United Earth government hereby withdraws from the Galactic Union, she said. All treaties between humanity and this council are void. All agreements are ended. All obligations are canceled. From this moment forward, human space is closed to all alien vessels. For a moment, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Then Velos began to laugh. It was a deep, rumbling sound that shook the walls. You cannot be serious, he said. Humanity cannot survive alone. You need our trade. You need our protection. You need our guidance. Without us, you will collapse within a year. Other delegates joined in the laughter. They pointed at Yuna. They made jokes in their alien languages. Yuna did not smile. She did not frown. She simply stood there and waited for the laughter to stop. "You have made a terrible mistake," Velos said, still chuckling. "But we are patient. When your people begin to starve, when your economy fails, when you realize how foolish you have been, you may come back. You may beg us to let you return. And perhaps, if you apologize properly, we will consider it." Yuna turned and began walking toward the great doors at the end of the hall. The other human delegates rose from their seats and followed her. Their footsteps echoed in the sudden silence. At the doors, Yuna stopped. She turned back one last time and looked at the thousands of alien faces staring at her. "You have never understood us," she said. Her voice was calm and clear. "In 150 years, you never tried to understand us. You saw us as children. As tools, as servants, you never saw what we really are." She paused. "That is why you will regret this." The great doors opened. Yuna walked through them without looking back. The other humans followed. The doors closed behind them with a sound like thunder. In the great hall, the delegates sat in confused silence. Some were still smiling, thinking this was some kind of joke. Others looked worried. A few, very few, looked terrified. In the highest platform, Velos waved his arms dismissively. "They will return," he announced. "Humans are emotional creatures. They make grand gestures, but they lack the strength to follow through. Give them a few months. They will come crawling back." The delegates murmured in agreement. Slowly, the normal business of the council resumed. By the end of the day, most of them had forgotten about the human ambassador and her dramatic exit. But in a small platform near the back of the hall, Elder Sova sat very still. She was ancient, even by galactic standards. Her eyes had seen empires rise and fall, and right now, those eyes were filled with fear. She remembered something she had read long ago, in records so old that most species had forgotten they existed. A warning about a small blue planet and the strange creatures that lived there. "Never corner them," the ancient text had said. "Never take everything from them. Never make them feel they have nothing left to lose. Because when humans have nothing left to lose, they become something else entirely." Sova looked at the closed doors where Yuna had walked out. She whispered words that nobody else could hear. "What have we done?" 3 months passed since the humans walked out of the Galactic Council. At first, nobody cared. The elder species continued their business as usual. They laughed about the foolish humans and made bets about when they would return begging for forgiveness. Then the problems started. Admiral Doan stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dawn. He was a tall man, with gray hair and eyes that had seen too many battles. Through the massive windows, he watched the border of human space. A line of ships stretched as far as he could see. Battleships, cruisers, destroyers, the entire human fleet. His second-in-command, a young officer named Jisoo, approached him with a report. "Sir, another convoy of alien ships tried to enter our space. We turned them back. Any problems?" "They were surprised, sir. They didn't expect us to have so many ships. Their intelligence said our fleet was much smaller." Stowan smiled slightly. "Their intelligence was based on what we allowed them to see. For 50 years, we built ships in secret. We knew this day would come. Across the galaxy, the Council was learning just how wrong they had been about humanity. On the trade world of Nexus Prime, merchants stared at empty shelves. Human goods had always been the most popular items in the galaxy. Human technology was reliable and efficient. Human medicine was the best available. Human food was considered a luxury. Now, all of it was gone. "When will the human ships return?" a buyer asked a merchant. The merchant shook his head. "They are not coming back. Human space is closed." "But I need human medical supplies. My daughter is sick. Only human medicine can help her." "Then I am sorry. There is nothing I can do." Stories like this repeated across hundreds of worlds. Hospitals ran out of human-made equipment. Factories stopped working because they depended on human parts. Ships broke down because their engines were human designs that only human engineers knew how to fix. High Arbiter Velos received report after report of growing problems. He dismissed them all. Find alternatives, he ordered. Other species can make these things. We do not need humans. But they could not find alternatives. Other species had stopped developing new technologies centuries ago. Why would they, when humans would do it for them? For 150 years, the galaxy had depended on human innovation while taking all the credit. Now that source was gone. Delegate. Mira sat alone in her quarters, reading the reports with growing fear. She was young for a galactic representative, only 200 years old. She had always felt uncomfortable with how the Council treated humans. Now her worst fears were coming true. She went to visit Elder Sova, finding the ancient creature in her private garden. You knew this would happen, Mira said. You tried to warn them. Sova's old eyes looked at her sadly. I tried. They did not listen. They never listen. Why? Why are humans so important? Sova was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke. Every species in this galaxy follows the same pattern. They develop technology until they reach a certain point. Then they stop. They become comfortable. They stop growing. This happened to my people. This happened to yours. This happened to all of us. She paused. But not humans. What do you mean? Humans never stopped. Every generation, they pushed further. They asked questions that other species stopped asking millions of years ago. They solved problems we thought were impossible. And while we were laughing at them, calling them children, they were becoming something we could not understand. Far away at the border of human space, War Chief Borak stood on his command ship. He was a Korath, a warrior species known for their violence. His raiders had attacked the human colonies 3 months ago. It had been easy. The humans had seemed weak and unprepared. Now he was worried. Send scouts to our forward bases, he ordered. I want status reports. Scouts went out. They did not come back. He sent more scouts. They found nothing. The bases were gone. Not destroyed. Just gone, no wreckage. No bodies, no signals. It was as if they had never existed. What happened? Borak demanded. Nobody could answer him. Back on Nexus Prime, food shortages began. 30% of the galaxy's food came from human agricultural worlds. Human farming methods were the most efficient ever developed. Human colony worlds produced enough food to feed billions of aliens. Now those worlds were behind the blockade. No food was coming out. Rationing began on dozens of planets. People who had never known hunger started to go hungry. Protests erupted. Government struggled to maintain order. High Arbiter Velos called an emergency session of the Council. We must contact the humans, he declared. We must negotiate. He sent a diplomatic ship to the border of human space. The ship approached slowly, broadcasting peaceful messages. It crossed the border, and then it went silent. 2 days later, the ship returned. Its crew was alive, but terrified. They reported that a human fleet had surrounded them within seconds of crossing the border. Their weapons had been disabled. Their engines had been shut down. They had been completely helpless. A human captain had contacted them. A man named Minho with cold eyes and a calm voice. You are trespassing, he had said. Leave now and do not return. The crew had tried to explain that they came in peace. They carried a message from the Council. Minho had not cared. The time for messages has passed. Go home. And then something even more frightening happened. Every human signal in the galaxy went silent. Communication channels that had been active for 150 years suddenly went dead. No broadcasts. No messages. No transmissions of any kind. It was as if humanity had simply vanished. Velos stared at the reports in disbelief. What are they doing in there? What are they planning? Nobody knew. The most advanced spy technology in the galaxy could not penetrate the barrier around human space. Faster-than-light probes vanished without a trace. Observation satellites went blind. Human space had become a black hole of information. Nothing went in. Nothing came out. The silence was absolute. Elder Sova sat in her garden, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, behind an invisible wall, humanity was doing something, building something, becoming something. And when they emerged, the galaxy would never be the same. Mira found her there staring at the sky. "What do we do now?" Mira asked. Sova did not look away from the stars. "We wait, we hope, and we pray that when the humans return, they remember that not all of us were their enemies." "Will they return?" "Oh yes," Sova said softly. "They will return. The question is, what they will be when they do." In the great hall of the Galactic Council, Velo sat on his throne and felt something he had not felt in 300 years. Fear. Real fear. The kind that crawled up your spine and whispered terrible things in your ear. He had thought humans were weak. He had thought they needed the council. He had thought they would come crawling back. He had been wrong, and somewhere, in the silence of human space, Admiral Doan looked at the stars and smiled. "Let them wonder," he said. "Let them fear. Let them finally understand what they threw away." The silence continued. The galaxy waited. And slowly, terribly, the truth began to sink in. The humans were not coming back. Not as they were. When they returned, they would be something new. Something stronger. Something that the galaxy had never seen before, and there was nothing anyone could do about it. 6 months had passed since humanity closed its borders. The galaxy was falling apart. On Council Station Prime, Velos held meeting after meeting, trying to solve problems that seemed to multiply every day. Trade routes that had run smoothly for centuries were now chaos. Species that had cooperated for thousands of years were now fighting over resources. The economy that had sustained the Galactic Union was collapsing like a building with no foundation. And still, the humans remained silent. "We must send a team into human space," Velos declared. "A stealth ship. Our best agents. We need to know what they are doing," many delegates protested. The last ship that entered human space had been captured and humiliated. But Velos would not listen. He ordered the mission to proceed. The stealth ship was called Shadowwind. It was the most advanced spy vessel in the galaxy. Its crew was made up of the best intelligence agents from 12 different species. They had never failed a mission. Captain Roku, a tall alien with scales like silver, commanded the vessel. "Take us in slowly," she ordered. All stealth systems at maximum, Shadowwind crossed the border into human space. For a moment, nothing happened. The crew began to relax. Then every light on the ship went out. "Report," Roku shouted in the darkness. "All systems are dead, Captain. Engines, weapons, life support. Everything. That is impossible. Our systems are shielded against any known technology." It was not any known technology. The ship drifted in the darkness. The crew sat in their seats, helpless and afraid. They could do nothing but wait. An hour passed. Then a light appeared outside the windows. A human battleship emerged from the void so close they could see every detail of its hull. It was beautiful and terrifying. Its design was unlike anything they had ever seen. A communication channel opened. A human face appeared on their emergency screens. A man with sharp features and calm eyes. "I am Captain Minho of the UES Horizon," he said. "You are trespassing in human space. You will be detained. We are diplomatic agents," Roka tried. "We carry messages from the Galactic Council." Minho did not blink. "The time for diplomacy ended 6 months ago. You will be processed and returned to Council space with a message. Do not resist." They could not resist even if they wanted to. Their ship was dead. Human soldiers boarded and took them into custody without violence but without warmth. They were treated correctly but coldly. Meanwhile, deep inside human space, something remarkable was happening. Dr. Hannah stood before the United Earth Assembly, presenting the results of decades of secret research. She was a small woman with glasses and wild hair, but her voice carried authority that filled the room. "For 100 years we pretended to be weaker than we were," she said. "We let the Council think they were superior. We let them steal our inventions. We let them believe we needed them. But all that time, we were working on things they could never imagine. She pressed a button, and images filled the air. Clean energy systems that produce unlimited power from nothing but starlight. Medical nanobots that can cure any disease, heal any injury, even reverse aging. Defensive shields that can stop any weapon. Engines that make current faster than light travel look like walking. The assembly members stared in amazement. While they were laughing at us, Hannah continued, we were becoming gods. General Taiyun, head of Earth's defense, stood next. He was a broad man with gray at his temples and scars on his hands. Our military strength is now greater than the entire Council fleet combined. We can defend every human world against any attack. We can project power anywhere in the galaxy. And we can do it without taking a single life if we choose. Admiral Doan spoke last. The question before us is simple. What do we do with this power? Do we use it to conquer? To take revenge? To become what they always feared we would become? He paused. No, that is not who we are. We will use this power to protect ourselves. We will use it to build a better future. And we will use it to show the galaxy what they lost when they threw us away. Back at the border, the captured crew of Shadow Wind was returned to Council space. Their ship was repaired perfectly. Their health was checked and verified. They were treated with professional courtesy throughout, but they carried a message. Roku delivered it personally to the Council, her hands trembling as she spoke. The humans told me to tell you this, she said. They do not need you. They never did. You needed them. And now you will learn what that means, Fellow scoffed. Empty threats. Words meant to frighten us. I saw their ships, Roku said quietly. I saw their technology. It is beyond anything we have. Beyond anything we could build in 1,000 years. They are not threatening us. They are simply telling the truth. The council chamber fell silent. Elder Sova spoke for the first time in months. I warned you. I begged you to treat them as equals. Now it is too late. They have become something we cannot match. Something we cannot defeat. Something we cannot even understand. What do we do? Someone asked. Sova shook her head. We wait. We hope. And we pray for mercy. At the border of human space, something new was happening. Ships were gathering. But they were not warships. They were civilian vessels, transports, freighters, family ships. They were refugees, species from across the galaxy. The ones who had been exploited and ignored just like humans were fleeing toward the border. They remembered how humans had been treated. They knew that if anyone would understand them, it would be humanity. General Taeyon watched the sensor readings with surprise. They want in, he reported to the assembly. Thousands of them. They are asking for sanctuary. Why? Someone asked. Because the galaxy is falling apart, and we are the only stable thing left. Admiral Doan considered this for a long moment. Then he gave an order that would change everything. Let them approach the border. Speak with them. Learn their stories. And if they come in peace, if they come with respect, then perhaps we can help them. The first refugees crossed into human space a week later. They were met not with weapons, but with medical ships, food transports, counselors, and translators. They were treated with kindness that they had never received from the council. Word spread quickly. More refugees came. More stories were told. Stories of how the elder species had exploited and abused them. Stories that sounded very familiar to human ears. In her laboratory, Dr. Hannah worked on something new. A gift for the refugees. Technology that would help them rebuild their lives. Medicine that would heal their sick. Food that would feed their hungry. Why are we helping them? Her assistant asked. The galaxy abandoned us. Hannah smiled. The galaxy did not abandon us. A few arrogant species in power abandoned us. These refugees are not our enemies. They are our brothers and sisters in suffering. They understand what it means to be overlooked and undervalued. She looked at her work with satisfaction, and when the time comes, they will remember our kindness. The message was clear. Humanity was not interested in revenge. They were interested in justice, in equality, in building something better than what came before. And slowly, the galaxy began to realize the true nature of the humans they had dismissed for so long. They were not conquerors. They were not destroyers. They were something far more dangerous to the old order. They were an example, a light, a new way forward. And once that light started shining, it could never be put out. 1 year after humanity left the Galactic Union, the galaxy was at war with itself. Old hatreds that had been buried for centuries came back to the surface. Species that had been allies for thousands of years now fought over territory, resources, and pride. 3 separate wars burned across different sectors. Millions died. Billions more became refugees. And still, humanity remained behind its walls, untouched and silent. High Arbiter Velos watched his empire crumble and felt rage building inside him. This was humanity's fault. If they had not left, none of this would have happened. They had destabilized everything. They had to pay. "We will bring them back by force," he declared to the council. "We will assemble the largest fleet in galactic history. We will march into human space and demand their surrender. They cannot resist us all," many delegates protested. They had seen the reports from Shadowwind. They knew human technology was beyond anything they possessed. But Velos would not listen. His pride would not allow him to accept that humans could be stronger than the elder species. "They are bluffing," he insisted. "They want us to be afraid. But we are the council. We have ruled this galaxy for millions of years. We will not bow to children." The call went out. Every species still loyal to the council sent ships. From across the galaxy, warships gathered at a staging point near human space. The fleet grew larger every day. Thousands of vessels, then tens of thousands. War Chief Borak brought the Korath battle fleet. He still did not know what had happened to his raider bases. His scouts had never returned. But he was a warrior, and warriors did not hide from battle. When the fleet was finally assembled, it was the largest military force ever gathered in galactic history. It stretched across space like a metal ocean, glittering with weapons and power. Velos addressed the fleet from his command ship. "Today, we restore order to the galaxy. Today, we remind the humans of their place. Today, we show them that the Council is still supreme. Forward." The fleet moved toward human space. It crossed the border in a wave of steel and fire. Admiral Dohan watched them come from the bridge of the Eternal Dawn. His face showed no emotion. Around him, his officers worked calmly, as if this were just another routine patrol. "They have committed everything," his tactical officer reported. "Every ship the Council has left." "I see them," Dohan said quietly. "Signal the fleet." Formation 7. Weapons free at my command only. The human fleet was smaller in number, perhaps one-third the size of the Council Armada. But as the two forces approached each other, something became very clear. Human ships moved differently. They flowed through space like water, changing formation instantly, responding to commands before they were even given. Their hulls glowed with energy shields that made them look like moving stars. War Chief Borak watched from his command deck, and for the first time in his life, he felt doubt. "Their coordination is impossible," he muttered. "No fleet can move like that." The two forces met at a point in space that would later be called the Threshold. The Council fleet opened fire first. Thousands of weapons unleashed their fury at the human formation. The energy shields absorbed everything. Not a single human ship was damaged. Then the humans fired back. It was over in 12 minutes. Every Council ship was disabled. Their weapons went offline. Their engines died. Their shields collapsed. But their life support kept working. Their crew remained alive. Not a single alien died. Not one. The Council fleet drifted in space, helpless and humiliated. Borak sat in his command chair, staring at screens that showed nothing but error messages. His mighty warship was dead in the water. A communication channel opened. Admiral Dohan's face appeared on every screen in the defeated fleet. "This battle is over," he said calmly. We have disabled your ships, but we have not killed your crews. Your life support systems are functioning. Rescue vessels will arrive within hours to tow you home." He paused, and when he spoke again, his voice was harder. "We could have killed you all. Every single one of you. We had the power, and many would say we had the right. You came to conquer us. You came to force us back into chains. By every law of war, we could have destroyed you completely." Doan leaned forward. "But that is not who we are. We are not murderers. We are not conquerors. We are humans. And we choose mercy, even when mercy is not deserved." On his disabled flagship, Borak stared at the screen. He was a warrior who had fought 100 battles. He had killed without mercy. He had shown no compassion to his enemies, and now his enemies had shown compassion to him. "Go home," Dohan continued. "Tell your masters what happened here. Tell them that humanity will not be conquered. We will not be controlled. We will not be contained. But we are not your enemies unless you choose to make us so." The transmission ended. For a long time, Borak sat in silence. His officers looked at him, waiting for orders. But he had no orders to give. For the first time in his life, he had nothing to say. Finally, he whispered words that only he could hear. "They let us live. Why would they let us live?" He thought about the raider bases that had disappeared, the ones that had attacked human colonies. He had assumed the humans had destroyed them utterly. Now he wondered, had they been destroyed? Or had they been captured, disabled, and their crews returned in secret? Had the humans been showing mercy even then, when no one was watching? Back in Council space, Velos received the news of the defeat. His response was fury. He blamed his admirals. He blamed his allies. He blamed everyone except himself. But the other council members had seen enough. Elder Sova called for a vote of no confidence. Delegate Myra seconded it. One by one, the species that had followed Velos for centuries turned against him. "You promised us victory," Mira said, standing before the council. "You promised us that humans were weak. You led us into a disaster that has cost us everything. Our fleet is gone. Our economy is destroyed. Our alliance is shattered. And still you refuse to accept responsibility." Velos tried to speak, but for once no one listened. The vote was unanimous. Velos was removed from power. He was escorted from the council chamber in disgrace, his 6 arms hanging limp at his sides. But removing Velos did not solve anything. The damage was done. The council, which had ruled the galaxy for millions of years, began to fracture. Species withdrew from the Union, seeking their own paths. The old order was dying. On the border of human space, General Teon watched the chaos unfold. Ships fleeing in every direction. Distress signals from dozens of worlds. The galaxy was falling into anarchy. "What do we do?" his aide asked. Teon thought for a long moment. "We wait. We watch. And when the time is right, we offer something different. Not conquest. Not control. Just a hand extended in friendship. Will they take it? Some will. Some will not. But we will make the offer. Because that is who we are." In the wreckage of the council fleet, War Chief Borak made a decision. He called his remaining captains together and told them something that shocked them all. "We will not fight the humans again," he said. "We will seek peace with them. But Chief, they are our enemies." "No," Borak said quietly. "They were never our enemies. We attacked them. We killed their people. They defeated us. And then they let us live. That is not what enemies do. That is what something else does." He looked out at the stars, toward human space. "I do not know what that something is, but I want to find out." 2 years had passed since humanity left the Galactic Union. The old council was dead. In its place was chaos, confusion, and fear. But in the darkness, something new was being born. Delegate Mira stood at the border of human space, her small ship drifting in the void. She had come alone, without weapons, without escorts. She carried nothing but hope. A human patrol ship approached her. Captain Minho's face appeared on her screen. She remembered him from the Shadow Wind incident. His eyes were still cold, still watchful. "Elegant Mira," he said. "You are trespassing in human space." "I know," she replied. "I come with no authority. I represent no government. I am here only as myself, asking for one thing." "What do you want?" "To talk, just to talk." There was a long silence. Then Minho nodded. "Follow us." They brought her to a space station orbiting a blue-green world. She was escorted through clean hallways filled with humans going about their daily lives. Children played in parks. Scientists worked in laboratories. Families ate dinner together. It was so normal, so peaceful, so different from the chaos she had left behind. She was taken to a conference room where a woman waited for her. Mira recognized her immediately. Ambassador Yuna, now called Foreign Minister. The woman who had walked out of the council chamber and changed the galaxy forever. Yuna gestured to a chair. "Please, sit." Mira sat. For a moment, neither of them spoke. "Why did you come?" Yuna finally asked. "Because I need to understand something. When your fleet defeated us at the threshold, you had every right to destroy us. We came to conquer you. We came to put you back in chains. But you showed mercy. Why?" Yuna was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke. "Because that is not who we are. We were never your enemies, Mira. We only wanted respect. We only wanted to be treated as equals. When you refused, we left. When you attacked, we defended ourselves. But we never wanted to rule over you. We never wanted revenge. Then what do you want?" Yuna smiled slightly. "We want to be left alone. Or, if you prefer, we want to be partners. Real partners? Equal partners. Not masters and servants. Not teachers and children. Just a peoples walking together toward the future."
Oh.
Mira felt tears forming in her eyes. She had spent 200 years in the council, watching the elder species treat everyone else as inferior. She had accepted it as the natural order of things. Now she realized how wrong that was. "I want that too," she said quietly. "My people want that too. We were never comfortable with how the council treated you, but we were afraid to speak up. You are speaking up now." "Yes, I am." The conversation lasted for hours. They talked about trade, about culture, about history. They talked about mistakes and regrets. They talked about hope. When Mira left, she carried with her something precious. An invitation. The first step towards something new. Word spread quickly through the galaxy. Humanity was willing to talk, not with the old powers who had abused them, but with anyone who came in good faith. Anyone who was willing to treat them as equals. The response was overwhelming. Species that had been ignored by the Council for centuries sent delegations. Young civilizations that had been exploited came seeking friendship. Even some elder species, humbled by recent events, reached out carefully. Testing the waters, Dr. Hannah led cultural exchange programs, sharing human art and music and science with their new friends. Captain Minho escorted friendly ships through human space, showing them worlds of beauty and wonder. General Taeyeon slowly began decommissioning border weapons, replacing them with welcome stations dotted everywhere. The story was the same. Humans greeted their visitors with warmth and respect. They asked about their cultures, their histories, their dreams. They listened. They learned. They shared. It was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. War Chief Barak came personally to request a meeting. He brought no fleet, no weapons. Just himself and a small shuttle. Admiral Doan met him on the observation deck of Earth's orbital station. They stood side by side, looking out at the stars. "I killed your people," Barak said. "My raiders attacked your colonies. 40,000 dead, I remember. And yet you let me live. You let all of us live. I have thought about this every day since the battle. I still do not understand."
Oh.
Then he spoke. "Killing is easy. Anyone can destroy. It takes strength to create. It takes courage to forgive. When we defeated your fleet, we had a choice. We could have proven that we were just like everyone who had come before us. Or we could have shown that we were something different. But why? Why show mercy to your enemies? Because hate is a poison. Revenge is a chain. If we had killed you all, we would have become the thing we hated. We would have become the council. And the cycle would have continued forever. Bora considered this. Among my people, mercy is considered weakness. Among ours, it is considered the greatest strength of all. They stood in silence, watching ships pass by. Human and alien vessels moving together. I want to learn, Borak finally said. I want to understand how you think. I want to see if my people can become something different too. Then you are welcome here, Doan replied. As long as you come in peace. In her garden on a distant world, Elder Sova was dying. She was old beyond measure, and her time was finally ending. But before she passed, she had one final task. She wrote a record for future generations. Her last gift to the galaxy. We thought humans were children, she wrote. We believed they were young and foolish and weak. We thought we could use them and discard them when we no longer needed them. We were wrong. Humans were never children. They were seeds. And while we slept in our comfortable stagnation, while we congratulated ourselves on our ancient wisdom, they grew. They learned. They became something new. Now they offer us shade from the storm we created. They extend their hands in friendship to those who wronged them. They show mercy to those who showed them none. Perhaps, in time, we will be worthy of it. Perhaps we can learn from them, as they once tried to learn from us. Perhaps there is still hope for this old and tired galaxy. She put down her writing tool and looked out at the stars one last time. The age of the council is over. The age of humanity has begun. May they be wiser than we were. May they be kinder than we deserved. May they lead us into a future we were too blind to see. Sova closed her eyes and slept. She did not wake again, but her words survived. They were copied and shared across 1,000 worlds. They became the first chapter of a new history. On Earth's orbital station, Admiral Dahone stood on the observation deck. Ships of every design passed by the windows. Human and alien, working together, traveling together, building together. His communications officer, a young woman named Sora, approached with a report. Sir, 12 more species have requested diplomatic talks. They want to join the new alliance. Toa nodded slowly. Then let them come. Sir, do you think this will work? Can we really build something better? Doan watched a human cargo ship escort an alien transport to its destination. He saw children on both vessels waving at each other through the windows. I do not know, he admitted. Nothing like this has ever been tried before. We are writing new rules for a new age. We will make mistakes. We will face challenges we cannot imagine. Some days it will seem impossible, turn to face her, but we have to try. Because the alternative is to become what they were, to repeat the same cycle of exploitation and control, and we are better than that, Sora smiled. Yes, sir. We are. Dohan turned back to the window. The stars stretched out forever, filled with possibilities. Tell the diplomats to prepare for meetings, he said. We have work to do. He thought about Yuna, who had walked out of the council and changed history. He thought about Hannah, whose science had given them power. He thought about Minho and Taiyun and all the others who had built this new world. He thought about 40,000 dead on those colony worlds 2 years ago. The spark that had started everything, they had not died for nothing. Their sacrifice had led to this moment. A moment when humanity could finally be what they had always dreamed of being. Not conquerors. Not rulers. Not gods. Just humans. Flawed and imperfect and stubborn, but also kind. Also brave. Also capable of something that the ancient species had forgotten long ago. Hope. Duhun straightened his uniform and walked toward the door. There was work to do. A galaxy to rebuild. A future to create, and for the first time in a very long time, that future looked bright.